Welcome back to the Gowanus Mirror. Today we are talking with Liz Tortolani of CityWell Brooklyn, and we're very excited. We're going to start by talking about your business, CityWell. Can you tell us all about it?
Wonderful. So I own CityWell Brooklyn, which is a boutique bathhouse and outdoor oasis in Gowanus, Brooklyn, just a block from here actually. At CityWell we offer hydrotherapy, massage therapy, acupuncture, all indoor, outdoor experiences. We offer packages, we have events, we do live jazz, we've even been known to do something called Midsummer's Night's Steam, different Shakespeare things in our backyard. We love bringing community together. We also do private parties, host all sorts of things, and people from the neighborhood. It's wonderful.
Amazing. So when did you start CityWell?
I started CityWell, well, conceptually I started it about 14 years ago in my head, and literally I started it, we're just about to renew our lease, so it's about 7 years. The business itself has been open on 11/11, it will be our 6th-year anniversary, but I've had the space for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Wow. What were you doing before? Is CityWell your first business, or?
CityWell, well, in a way, yes. It's my first brick and mortar business. I will say, with the entrepreneurial spirit that I have, I did sort of go out a bit on my own before I opened CityWell, and I just by myself decided I would have a business called Live Well NYC. I sort of took that on as a one-woman show. At that time, I was also working at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital doing massage for heart surgery patients, but on the side, when I had my own clients, I was doing massage, teaching private yoga, and doing some like wellness coaching here and there. And that was sort of my Live Well NYC beginning, which then morphed into CityWell.
Yeah, and how did you come up with the idea for CityWell?
Gosh, I mean, that is it's a big question, but how I came up with it, I mean, I can tell you the moment I did. I was walking down the street in Manhattan after working a really long day of doing massage in the city. I had rented a space, and I was carrying my sheets home. I think it was something like that. I sort of realizing this is how much longer can I keep doing this? And at the same time, I don't know if they went together exactly like that, but I got this sort of idea. It just sort of flew into my head, and it was sort of boutique bathhouse. It's this concept of wanting to bring something that I realized did not exist here. I wanted to bring something unique, maybe women only at the time, I thought. Hydrotherapy, saunas, massage, bringing it all together in a space that I could create and where I could help more people feel well, also without having to physically work on them all the time, and just create a space that would help people feel well and be something that didn't exist quite yet in New York City. And I thought, oh my gosh, I might be able to be the first one to do this. I will say I spent time living in Seattle, Washington, where there were places like this. Also in Portland, different places on the West Coast, other places I had visited in Europe have places like this. But where it was more small, not like the East Village baths, which are cool in their own right, but I wanted to create something a little bit more intimate, more unique, possibly more women-focused, which I feel a lot of the bathhouses tend to be a little bit more male-focused. And I loved the idea of not a spa, but of a boutique bathhouse. That was really my concept. I feel proud to have coined that in a way. And I had that idea, and it took me about 8.5 years until CityWell opened its doors.
Amazing. And you talk, I think, on your website a little bit about the idea of hydrotherapy and how that has been a really important thing in human culture all across the globe forever. And maybe it would be interesting for folks to hear like what that is and what the tradition is and how you
bring it to life here in Gowanus.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and that was really my thing, is that, you know, and a little bit of backstory is that I had a lot of, I mean, if you say why I came up with it, it did come from a lot of my own personal experience of having lived with a chronic illness actually for a really long time, and which was Crohn's disease. I'm now way better and a ton tons better, and I don't even consider myself having it anymore, which is probably, I always say, it really was my biggest success of my whole life, is that I healed from that with help, with support. But it was really a big impetus. It was a big thing behind why I realized hydrotherapy was so important for me personally. I also saw hydrotherapy. When I speak of hydrotherapy, a lot of people are like, well, what's hydrotherapy? So hydrotherapy is often, like, I consider it just anything water therapy. Hydro, water, heat kind of also goes into it. And we consider the steam as a form of water. Yeah. Even our sauna, our dry sauna, I still consider hydrotherapy. It's sort of the concept of being around different elements of water, heat, dry heat, wet heat, and soaking in a tub in particular. And showers even are therapeutic. Any water, I feel, is very therapeutic. So what that is, so I essentially I felt like there wasn't a place for that. You know, in New York, I feel other places, they have a lot of big bathtubs, there's but here there's not really that culture of bathing, of taking the time. In a lot of other cultures, Japan and other places like the bathhouse in, you know, Hungary and Budapest, like, people go to the bathhouse to go to the doctor. Like, that's their healing. That's their culture. Also in Berlin, I have a close friend there. Everyone goes to the sauna. They go to the sauna when they're pregnant. They go to the sauna when they've just had a baby. Some people have babies in saunas. Like, that's really a lifestyle. And here, I found it wasn't quite integrated into the lifestyle. I am going to preface this by, it's something important to know if you don't know it, but there is, on the Lyceum on 4th and President, was a bathhouse. Yeah. And which I find amazing. It was huge, and it still says men and women on the top. You can see it says bathhouse. So public baths. I mean, that's incredible to me. So 1 block from this enormous public bath is my boutique bathhouse. So it clearly was a part of this culture. Then we lost a lot of it, I think, in New York. We got too busy, and now we're kind of back to it. And the concept, so hydrotherapy is any sort of soaking water, and we have a hydrotherapy tub or outdoor whirlpool that people can communally be in it. Now a little bit less communally with COVID, but in the past we really wanted to bring people together and also have it be a place for people to come on their own if they wanted private time just to take care of their bodies.
Right, yeah. It's all really wonderful, and I'm gonna segue to a more artsy question and ask you, what does beauty mean to you?
Wow, yeah, that's a really amazing question. It's a nice question to contemplate. I wish I spent a little more time thinking about that. But I will say, and I get to say this, like, I am continuously struck by the beauty of my space, of the space of CityWell. And I find nature, things in nature I find water I find beautiful. And, you know, being in a beautiful space, whatever that is to you, to me, I mean, my space I find very aesthetically pleasing. It makes it easy to be a lot of the hours of the day, but I think beauty, you know, it's a culmination of things, but nature is helpful. I think, nature, natural beauty would, like, just in nature. I think nature is beauty for me. It kind of is the correlation, but there's also, like, just seeing our curtains, like, with the light, and you know, there's a lot of things at CityWell that I find truly beautiful. That's not really the question of what is beauty, but that's where I am most of the time. Yeah. So and I think I wanted to create a space that was beautiful. And I think a lot of what I think is beauty is probably reflected at CityWell. So
completely, and it is such, I mean, I can say as someone who has been there, it is the aesthetic beauty that you have brought into this space really certainly resonates for me.
That's
it's
awesome.
Really, it has so much quiet and so much good energy. I compliment it.
I will only say I couldn't go on any further in this without mentioning my architect, whose name is Deborah Mariotti, and she is really paramount in why CityWell works so well and looks so beautiful, and she helped with all the design and the interior design as well. So we really worked on it together. She's the architect and designer, so I can't take all the credit. I never would, but she was really my partner in creating such a beautiful, energetic space.
Wonderful. What has helped you grow your business? So you've had it for a number of years now, and it has grown from just like a soft opening to something really robust and vibrant. What has helped?
That's a really good question as well. I feel I was into the slow build. And I kind of like that in the sense when I opened, we didn't even have the full backyard, wasn't fully created. It was sort of a very slow process. And I never did a lot of marketing. I never had a big budget for any of that. And so I think really what helped my business grow, honestly, was word of mouth. It grew from a very small, I was pretty much ran it with me and one other person for the first couple of years. And then it sort of started to pick up, and I started to do these community hours, communal hours. And those at the beginning, they were a big part of my mission statement, which was to provide affordable and accessible preventive health care to a wide range of urban wellness seekers. And that was so important because I had received that help when I was living in Seattle, and I wanted to create that for my neighborhood and for my community and for anyone who wanted to come. So I think those started, it took years for them to build, but eventually they did, and eventually people told other people, and by the end of being open for 5 years before we had to close for COVID, they were packed all the time. And I think that was really a reflection of a word of mouth. And to the point where we added an extra 12-person sauna that helped us really, provide more space for people. We did these cool events called Steam Soaked Jazz. That took also a while to grow momentum, but by the end of, when I say the end, by the time we had to close, which was, a year and a half ago, we had really built up a following. So I think, and then people, of course, I won't say social media, but I think people would share it with some friends, and some people who had larger followings shared it. But I will say our bottom line, still people will walk by and say, how have I not heard about this? They don't know about it still. And partly I love that because I feel it's still a hidden gem. That's what everyone calls it still to this day. And I like that quality. But it does continue to grow. And it really, I believe, much of it is good reviews, luckily for the most part, and word of mouth.
Yeah, well, when you're doing something that has such quality woven into it, like when people find it, they're gonna love it.
It's special.
Yeah. To this neighborhood, the neighborhood of Gowanus, I'm really curious about what attracted you to this neighborhood and if you have any hopes for its future.
Gosh, well, I can tell you first what attracted me to this neighborhood. I always loved this neighborhood, and I always had my eye on it for my business. So I feel really lucky that I am able to be here. I always thought it had a really cool energy, kind of edgy and having warehouses and industrial. I love the industrial vibe here. It's, it is a zone for industrial and, residential, which I just love. And it has a great history, and it has the canal, which most of us who know Gowanus know it doesn't always smell amazing, but it is like a cool story. It has a cool backstory. Even my neighborhood particularly is Italian, and I'm of Italian heritage, and even having that, there's like my landlord, he has Italian flags on the wall that they used to play handball with, and he has his old stories of what, the Italian club that used to be at the space. So there's a lot of history here as well, and Italian history, which I like, and I just liked that it was very artsy. It was always artsy, you know. You would find art studios. There's a lot of art studios here. It's always kind of a cool business that you would stumble upon, like Mirar House, and that, you know, are kind of these little like secret, kind of, I'm gonna say hole in the wall, but hidden gem is definitely the better. But it's like, you know, you're finding these places that you're like, wow, how is this here? How did I not know about this? You know, because I think there's a lot of us here that are not like big, loud, ooh, here, like I have this thing, I'm gonna show you. It's sort of like we want people to find us or to stumble upon it, and it's not a very, I feel like we're kind of subdued in our own way. Like we do our thing we're passionate about, and then the right people will come.
Yeah.
You know, and I find that that's kind of true. Like I find that is what Gowanus maybe makes space for, and it provides a creative palette for us creative business owners. That's what I think.
Yeah. Such a unique little magic.
Yeah, it is. It's a unique magic. I really feel that. I don't know that I could have done. Also, I have an enormous backyard, and I don't know where else I would have found an enormous backyard. I mean, it's very hard to find what I found, and Gowanus had it. So I feel very lucky to be a part of it. So
what a lovely story you have to share. And I think we will wrap up on that note of the special magic of this hidden gem of a neighborhood. So thank you, Liz.
My pleasure.
Really a pleasure.
Aqua Luna. Awesome.
Yeah,
cheers.
And we'll see you next time.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me. I loved it.
Totally.
I love talking about Gowanus and my business, so that works out.
Yeah, check out CityWell.
Do. It's really great. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.